3 billion parameters. That's all Qwen's new local coding model activates when it's writing your code. Not the whole thing, just 3 billion out of 35 billion sitting in memory. And on SWE-bench, the benchmark that makes models fix real GitHub issues in real code bases, it just posted 73.4%. For context, Gemma 4's dense 31 billion parameter model, all 31 billion active, every token, scored 17.4 on the same test. Qwen 3.6 scored 4 times higher with 1/10 the compute. By the end of this, you'll know what's actually happening under the hood, where the Beats Claude headline is real and where it needs a footnote, and exactly how to get this running locally in about 2 minutes. Start with what Mixture of Experts actually is, because the marketing around it is getting sloppy. Picture a library staffed by 35 specialists. Every time someone walks in with a question, the library only wakes up 3 of them, whoever's most relevant to that specific question. The other 32 sit idle. The caller gets specialist quality answers. The building runs on intern-level electricity. That's MOE. The full 35 billion parameters live in memory simultaneously, but the compute per token draws from roughly 3 billion. You pay the VRAM bill up front. You get the speed bill on credit. This distinction matters for every "how much RAM do I need" conversation you've ever had about local models. The 3B active count is the number that determines speed. The 35B total count is the number that determines how much VRAM you need before you even start. On an RTX 4090, that's a hard 24 GB floor. 16 gigabyte cards hit CPU offloading and generation speed drops by half. On a 24 GB card, Qwen runs at around 120 tokens per second with a Q4KM quantization. Simon Willison ran it on an M5 MacBook through LM Studio and reported solid performance. On an M4 Max, you're looking at roughly 44 tokens per second via MLX, now the benchmark. Here's where the honest caveat lies, and it's important. The 73.4% SWE-bench verified score comes from Alibaba's internal agent scaffold. Third-party reproductions on the standard public harness typically land 5 to 10 points lower. Claude Sonnet 4.5 sits at 77.2% on the public harness. So the Beats Claude headline in the title of this video is doing some work. The proprietary Qwen 3.6 Plus cloud model, not locally runnable, scores 78.8% on SWE-bench and does beat Claude Sonnet 4.5 by a few points. The open weight model you can actually run at home is competitive. It is not clearly ahead on a level playing field. That said, strip away the marketing, and what you have is a locally runnable open weight model approaching scores that, 2 years ago, only Frontier closed APIs could touch. The previous top locally runnable model on Apple Silicon, Gemma 4, scored 52% on SWE-bench. Qwen scores 73.4, 21 percentage points. The gap between impressive demo toy and "this might actually fix my bug" is somewhere in that range. The context window is the other number worth staring at. 262,000 tokens natively, extendable to 1 million via Yaran extrapolation. For repo-level coding, the workload where models actually fall apart because they can't hold the whole codebase in mind at once. This matters more than any benchmark. 1 million tokens is roughly 2,000 pages of text. Your average mid-sized codebase fits inside one prompt. The catch with context is memory. Larger context means a fatter KV cache sitting next to your model weights. At 262K context on a 24 GB card, you're running close to the edge. If you want to go wider than that, you need more VRAM headroom or you start losing speed to memory pressure. The model is smarter than the memory wall allows it to show at the cheap end. Here's the part the just use and API crowd skips. Qwen is Apache 2.0 licensed. That means you can ship it in a product without a lawyer's permission slip. No usage-based billing that triples overnight when your coding agent starts looping. No data leaving your machine. No rate limits burning through your quota before lunch. Qwen's own cloud OAuth tier dropped from 1,000 free requests per day to 100 in mid-April 2026, then shut down entirely. If your agentic coding loop runs all day, 100 requests is gone before morning stand-up. The local model charges nothing per token. So should you run it? The practical version of that question is, what hardware do you have, and what are you actually trying to do with it? If you have a 24 GB GPU or a Mac with 32 GB or more of unified memory, this is the highest performing locally runnable coding model available right now. Pull it and point your coding agent at it. If you have a 24 GB Mac and care more about raw SWE-bench score than MOE efficiency, the dense 27B, which Alibaba released a few days later, fits in 22 GB and actually scores 77.2% on SWE-bench, a few points higher, and runs faster on the same hardware. If you have 16 GB VRAM, the MOE won't run cleanly, and you're better served by a quantized 27B or waiting for the ecosystem to mature. The developers getting the most out of this are running the 35BA3B for long context agentic loops and keeping the 27B dense model in reach for faster single-turn work. Getting it running is 2 commands. Install Ollama if you haven't. Then run Ollama, run QWEN 3.6:35BA3B. That's it. Ollama downloads the quantized model, handles the GGUF, and exposes an open AI-compatible endpoint at localhost 11434. Wire aider, Cline, or continue.dev to that endpoint, and your local coding agent is live. One thing to fix before you do anything serious. Ollama's default context window is 2048 tokens. For an agentic coding workflow reading multiple files, that's useless. Set the Ollama context length environment variable to at least 64000. The model supports 262K. Don't bottle it at 2K. The tool calling fix is worth mentioning because it burned early adopters. If you're using llama.cpp directly instead of Ollama, you must pass the Jinja flag or tool calling silently fails. No error. Just broken agent behavior that looks like model weirdness. Unsloth's GGUF uploads ship with chat template and tool calling fixes baked in. If you're pulling direct from Hugging Face, confirm you have a build from after August 2025. The closer is the same for almost every local model story right now. The compute that used to live exclusively in a data center is migrating to developer laptops one generation at a time. Qwen is not beating frontier closed models cleanly on a neutral playing field, but it is running on your machine at 120 tokens per second, reading your entire codebase at once, and it is free. The benchmark gap between the best local model and the best API model was 30 points 18 months ago. It's somewhere between 4 and 10 points now, depending on how you measure it, and it's closing every quarter. The library is open. Only 3 specialists show up per question. That's the whole trick, and it works. No newsletter, no course. Just to subscribe if this saved you a cloud bill.